Well, can we take Trump at his word? Should we? There has been a lot of doublespeak from Trump, from his transition team, and from his cabinet nominees. Case in point, Trump refuses to criticize Russian President Vladimir Putin or Russian foreign policy, yet Trump's picks for defense and national intelligence. They've both told Congress that Putin and Russia represent the biggest threat to the U.S. and global order. Just days before Trump takes power, the Harvard University government lecturer and author Yascha Mounk is sounding the alarm, saying it is time to stop underestimating Trump. In a column that he wrote this week for Slate.com, Mounk makes the point, if Trump keeps defying his low expectations, he may end up surprisingly popular. It's perfectly possible that he'll crash and burn, but to figure out how to beat Trump, we must start by taking him and the danger that he poses seriously. Well, I'm joined now from Washington, D.C. by Yascha Mounk. He's a fellow at the Transatlantic Academy and a lecturer at Harvard University. His next book deals with the crisis of liberal democracy. Good evening to you, Yascha. Trump's approval rating is the lowest for a president-elect since polling began. How can you say that the public is underestimating him when they don't even like what he's doing?
Well, the polling is a great example of this, actually. It's true that he is very unpopular by the standards of president-elects, and given the divisiveness of a campaign and how extreme a campaign he ran, how extreme the promises were that he made, that is not surprising. But actually, since the day of the election, his approval ratings have on average inched up. And a lot of the time people are saying, oh, you know, the approval ratings are so terrible because they cherry pick particular polls. When you look at the average, it really has increased over time. So that's just one of many examples in which I think liberals, like myself, haven't yet quite faced up to the real danger he poses.
You also write, Yascha, that getting things done in government is very hard, but destroying things in government is pretty easy. What do you mean there in connection with President Trump?
Well, so there's this theory to say that, look, Donald Trump doesn't really have a very coherent ideology. He doesn't have a very professional team in place. Obviously, we've been seeing the transition team make a lot of mistakes, be very chaotic. And so some people take that as a sign of hope, to say that once Trump is going to be in government, he's not going to manage to do that many things, because governing is actually hard. You need a lot of expertise. You need a very well laid out plan. And my fear is that that isn't as true as people think. But when you think of something like deporting illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants, it's difficult to do that well. It's difficult to do that while protecting people's rights. It's difficult to do that without catching a lot of U.S. citizens in the dragnet, for example.
Right.
But if you don't care about those things, if you just want some media headlines and a couple of cameras following, a couple of extreme actions by law enforcement officials, that's not too difficult to do.
So it sounds like, Yascha, that you're saying if the public has let the Donald Trump candidate as we know him, if they've let him come this far, then they may also allow him to trample over the U.S. Constitution.
So this is my third fear, that, you would think that in a system of checks and balances, if Donald Trump started doing really extreme things, he would be stopped. But in order to do that, you need actual human beings who are in office standing up to him. And we've seen the Republican Party not be able to coordinate against him when he was just a candidate for the nomination. We've seen most Republican lawmakers, even ones who clearly disliked him, fall in behind him when he was the party's nominee. Mm-hmm. So it's not clear to me why we should have a confidence that we would now get a majority in the House of Representatives, so 2/3 in the Senate, to impeach him, because that would require a majority of a Republican Party really deciding that they will stand up to his abuses of power if they should materialize. And I'm just not sure that that's realistic.
And Yascha, if I'm hearing you correctly, I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds like you're saying it's the people, the voters, who are the true threats to liberal democracy. Is that true?
Or at least, I wouldn't say the true threat, but I would say the only defense. A constitution is, in the end, a sheet of paper. The Supreme Court does not have any army battalions of its own. The Constitution gives us some of the tools we need as the people in order to hold strongmen and would-be authoritarians to account. but we need to do that actual job ourselves rather than relying on the notion that it's going to be done for us.
All right, Yascha Mounk, a fellow at the Transatlantic Academy and a government lecturer at Harvard, joining us tonight from Washington. Yascha, as always, thank you very much for taking the time to be on the show. We appreciate it.